Today, we're going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about how to simplify the sales process and sell more with less stress. Hey, who wants that? You guys want to sell more with less stress? Let me know below. I know some people say, hey, no, I'd rather have all the stress and not make any sales. But if you do want to sell more with less stress and simplify the process, then you're in the right spot. Because Tyler's got some knowledge bombs drop on you guys. So let's go ahead and get it rolling.
Yes. So to get people to commit to you before you ask for the money, this doesn't mean they're guaranteed to do business with you, but it's going to eliminate a lot of objections before they come up at the closing table. Or if it does come up, it's going to make it way easier to overcome. Now, what I call the closing table is when you're actually delivering the quote and asking for the money. You don't want objections to come up at that point. You want them to be pre-handled, or you want them to come up in the first conversation. Now, a lot of agents, for PNCs anyway, it's usually like a 2-call close. Some of you guys do a 1-call close, and that's great. So just for the sake of simplicity, I'm going to say conversation 1, conversation 2. Conversation 1 is information gathering, appointment setting, if it's applicable, and getting their commitment. Conversation 2 is delivery and closing. So when you're done gathering information, that's like, okay, I've got everything I need to get the quote, run consumer reports. I think I can help this person. And you want to get them to commit. Now, let's say that, you're getting ready to move into phase 2 of the conversation, or you're getting ready to hang up so you can call them back later. There's a question you're going to ask them on this call. Once you've gathered everything and you're getting ready to hang up, you ask them, you say, okay, so it looks like I've got everything I need to get going for you. So I'm not going to ask you to commit to anything yet, because obviously I don't even have a price yet. But earlier in the conversation, you said that XYZ was important to you. So what that could be, they want a better price, or they want an agent that's available, or they want to make sure their glass is covered, or roadside, or whatever, right? So earlier in the conversation, you said that this is important to you. So if I can find a policy or a carrier that will do all those things for you, is there anything else you're going to need before moving forward today? And then you shut up. Now, that's really powerful for a few reasons. One is, earlier in the conversation, you should have been asking them, obviously, so what are the most important things to you in regards to your insurance besides price and things like that? And then you hold on to those things that they tell you. Sometimes it's still price, but you can try to draw something else out. Listen to the conversation as you go throughout it. It's like, well, I had a bad claims experience. Like, hold on to those nuggets that you can use as, for lack of a better term, weapons in your closing conversation. So you say, earlier you said that XYZ was important to you. I'm not going to ask you to commit to anything yet, because obviously I don't even have a price. But if I can find a policy or a carrier that can do those things for you, is there anything else you need to move forward today? So one of 2 things is going to happen. One, they're going to say, no, I think that would be everything. Awesome. Now you've got a really committed prospect. And if you come back with everything that they said they wanted, if they object, you can say, okay, awesome. So I understand you want to think about it, or whatever the case may be. Earlier, when we talked about this, you did say that if we were able to get a hold of these things for you, that you'd be ready to move forward today. So is there something that I missed? And that reminds them of their commitment, because what you're doing with that first question is, by getting them to commit, you can tie back to that. But usually you don't have to, because when you ask them that question, if they're going to have an objection, it's usually going to come up then instead of when you're closing. So when you say, is there anything else that you're going to need before moving forward today? They're going to say, well, I will have to talk to my wife first. Okay, great. No problem. Will she be home when I call you at 5 or whatever time you guys are setting up to call? And he'll say, yeah, she will. Okay, great. Make sure she's there with you so I can answer her questions as well. Boom. Spouse objection is solved. Or if they say, well, yeah, if the quote's good, I'll want to do it, but I don't get paid until this date. Okay, great. No problem. I totally understand. Then when you get to the actual closing table, you can throw in your closing script. So all I would need to have this ready to go is I can take your payment info, but I won't run a payment until you're ready to go on your payday. But that way I'll have it on hand. And when I talk to you on the 5th and you give me the green light, it'll be a 2-minute conversation and boom, we're all done. Right? So it's going to bring up those objections ahead of time if they're going to come up at all. And it's better to have them pre-handled. If it's an objection like, well, I'm going to want to do a little bit more shopping or whatever the case may be, now you have it out ahead of time. It's not going to surprise you with the closing table. But if they say no, that would be everything, then that's great. Now, I want you guys to take note of the phrasing. What I'm asking them is if I can get a policy that does XYZ for you or a carrier that does XYZ for you, then I'm saying, is there anything else you're going to need before moving forward today? If I were to say, is there anything that would stop you, there's a little bit of a negative connotation in there. They're going to think about things that would stop them. And they probably are going to think of something because you're asking them basically to think of something. If you ask them, is there anything else you're going to need? They're going to say, no, I think that would be everything because they should have told you already. But if there's something that's vastly important, it'll come up then. When you get to the closing table, if they say, well, yeah, that quote's really great, but, I really got to think about it or shop around a little more, or, it's not saving me $100 a month or whatever, you can say, okay, I totally understand. That's a big decision or whatever you need to say to respond to what they said. Now, earlier when we talked, I remember you mentioned that if I was able to get you the roadside assistance and this and that and save you some money, that you'd be ready to move forward today. So is there something that I missed? So when you do that, you remind them of their commitment and you're not placing the blame on them. You're saying, hey, is this my fault? Did I do something wrong? And they're going to be like, oh, no, you didn't. No, it's not you. I just, they're going to remember what they said. And sometimes they'll just simply say, you know what? Yeah, you're right. You did get all that. Let's just go ahead and do it. Other times you can use that to draw out the real objection. So when they say, I want to think about it, and you're like, is there something that I missed? They're gonna be like, no, I just have to do X, Y, and Z before I do this, And maybe it's something simple like, I don't get paid till the 5th. They should have brought that up in the first conversation, but if they're just bringing it up now, just get their payment info now, and then tell them you won't run it until they're ready, of course. And if they don't give you their payment info, then they might not trust you. There's probably something else going on. So
appreciate everybody being here. I think we got all your questions answered. Everybody have a great week, and hopefully you guys have a very blessed rest of your month. Thanks.